everybody. It is July 17th, 2018. Time to take a look at our stocks here today. The shares of Iridium were long at 1765. We sold a third at 45 cents gain and remain long two-thirds position with a stop of 1795. And we're going to continue to hold this thing. It's actually got a pretty big size short position in it. I don't know if you've noticed that, but it's definitely, we're just going to give it to that stop and see what the market gives us here in the end. Shares of IQ from our watch list at 35.41. We took a third off yesterday with a gain of 94 cents. We did not sell it on the open today as it violated our stop. Instead, we waited. It got back above VWAP. We set our stop below the low of the day. After it broke this level here, we raised our stop to this point, and then our stop was raised to $36.10 per share. That wasn't hit. Now we're going to raise it once again to $36.58 on a two-thirds position in shares of IQ. And again, for those people especially who are trying to trade with another job, you cannot set your stops before the market opens. I say it all the time, and this is a perfect example again here today. Huya, we got long today at 39.05 from our watch list as it got beyond this little band of resistance. It did not stop us out, and we have our stop at $39.57. I think that well, one, we keep our stop there, but secondly, we want to sell some if it gets above $40 per share on this one. It's a good-looking recent IPO, but it has had a decent run as well, so be aware of that. HLX, as I mentioned, I don't trade these energy names. I cannot stand the way they trade, but I did suggest that we put it back on our list here midday after removing it in the chat room. If you got involved at 862, I think your stop should be $8.36 per share, and look to sell a third if it gets towards $8.75 per share. Again, the energy names, they continue to just be quite erratic, but have quite constructive longer-term charts. New idea for tomorrow for a swing trade is Depomed. Now, it is a medical supply company, so be aware of that. Sometimes codenamed for biotech, but it's above the rising 10, 20, 30, 40-week moving average, and it looks like it has room to run here on this weekly chart. On the daily time frame, we can see that it had a nice big volume event right here, and subsequently it's been holding on to those gains as the volume diminishes. The average daily volume is 1.55 million shares. Earnings are due 8/8. So again, always the earnings dates are up here, as is whether it's optionable or not. That's what the beta for the stock. And this is the 20-day moving average of volume. Looking to a 30-minute time frame, the volume weighted average price from this low and from this move, you can see we're above. And now down to a 15-minute time frame, what we're going to do is take a look at the volume weighted average price from the peak. And you can see that's right here. Where I think we need to get this stock back above is actually above there. So I think that above this little peak right here intraday, not this high, but I think above this little peak right here should do it for us. Tomorrow, the 5-day moving average will be declining slightly unless it can get back above that level. So we want to buy it above 843, and then our stop is going to go down below here, so at $8.05 per share on Depomed. As always, use a constant dollar amount for your risk to determine how many shares you're going to trade. PSTG, this one I had posted a chart in the chat room and actually online, and I think that on the daily time frame it's holding up really nicely here. On the weekly time frame, you can see it's been in this longer term uptrend and it's been consolidating this prior resistance, holding the support in here recently. It's been a little volatile as well, but it's holding key volume weighted average price levels, including from the peak there, and we can get a better sense of that from the 30-minute time frame. There's the volume weighted average price from that recent peak. We're holding above that. We're above the volume weighted average price from this low. And I think that, to get this stock moving, to make a higher high above the rising 5-day moving average, I think it takes a move above $24.55. If we buy it above $24.55 tomorrow, I think that your stop then goes below today's low, so at $23.86. That doesn't give it a lot of risk, which is great. It only gives it about, 70 cents worth of risk. So Again, we're looking to buy it above 24.55 with a stop of 23.86. Other names just for our watch list for tomorrow would include APTI. Now this one, it trades 508,000 shares a day, and on the daily time frame, what do we see? We've got higher lows in here. We've got this band of resistance up in this area. We could call this, maybe a pennant if you wanted to on the 30-minute time frame. It's back above the 5-day moving average, but we've again got that band of resistance up in here. If you took a trend line off of this top, then we've broken it. If you take a trend line that looks like this, I think that's more accurate. So I don't like to draw trend lines on extreme levels. As I always like to point out, Larry McMillan, the options guy, taught me that you look at trend lines, you draw trend lines with a crayon, not with a straight edge and a ruler. So, and in here, and it should represent the essence of trend. Now, in this case, it happens to be a perfect line, but we can also look at this as, is this a cup? And here's our handle as well. So a cup and handle psychology is, the distance between the tests of resistance is it takes less time and it makes a higher low as the buyers are getting more aggressive price wise and time wise. So I'm not sure exactly where to buy this stock, but I like the way it's setting up in here. It had a pretty good size move today, maybe back above today's high with a stop, somewhere around 36.40. That way it's below this little peak here and this peak from a couple days ago. Make the trade your own, keep an eye on it, see if it makes sense to you. Baidu has been very choppy here on a weekly time frame, but it's not going down. It keeps surviving these battles up in this area. So it's been shaking people out long and short in here, but the longer term trend is still higher, and we have a rising 10, 20, 30, and 40 week moving average all stacked up, kind of similar to the way they were stacked up, right around in this area, and we had seen prior volatility. Now, down to the daily time frame, we still see a wide range in this stock, but if we take, let's go down to a 130-minute time frame, and we'll erase all this stuff here from prior times we've looked at it. There's the 50-day moving average, and that's simply looking at 3 candles per day, so that's 150 periods. 150 periods equals 50 days when we're looking at 3 periods per day. The volume weighted average price off of this peak and this peak and this peak were above, and of course off of these lows. This is clearly, a level of significance. If I was an investor in this stock, I would be thinking a stop would go somewhere near 254, 255, because we have a rising 50-day moving average. We have this cluster of volume weighted average price levels. So that's, key a little bit longer term. From a near-term perspective, on a 30-minute time frame, we can get rid of that again as well. We've traveled pretty good here from the beginning of the month, and we're into this prior area where we've seen some resistance. So maybe if it could kind of consolidate in this area for another 2 to 3 days, Baidu is looking like it has the ability to continue to move higher. And look again here. Look at the people that it trapped on this so-called breakout. Just absolutely foolish to buy after it makes a run like this. They got shaken out. Now let's see if it can do something like this and then maybe continue to move higher. Earnings due July 26th, so maybe that's a catalyst. Who knows? CLPS, we've had our eye on. It's trading light volume here the last couple days. The average since coming public is 593,000 shares. That's a 20-day average, so not necessarily since coming public, but here on the daily time frame, it's quite constructive. Looking at again let's look at a 65-minute time frame. There's our VWAP from coming public. It touched that, and the volume weighted average price from the high. You can see we're holding above this level. That means our worst case stop goes underneath this area. It's prior resistance, which held as support. It's a volume weighted average price from the peak and a rising 5-day moving average. The problem, a couple problems. Again, it's a little bit lighter volume the last couple days. It needs to clear $15 per share. And if you were to get involved, I think your stop goes underneath the afternoon low. So if you decide that it's correct for you to buy it above $15 a share, I think your stop goes at 14.06. Manhattan Associates, we had a decent trade in recently, and it's looking like it's setting up once again. So here we can take a look Again, do we draw a trend line off of these peaks? If so, well, it broke both of those. How about something that represents the essence of trend better, which would look more like this? This seems more accurate to me to draw a trend line there than off of the highest points. So looking to the daily time frame, we've got a pretty good consolidation in here just recently. We had a nice trade, if you recall, out of this consolidation, pullback, and then consolidation. And looking at that, again, right in here, this is where the buyers regained control last time after they had found support at the VWAP from the prior low. So what we'll do is take a look at the volume weighted average price from this low, and guess what? We've got buyers right in there defending it. We've got a band of support in here, but we've also got some resistance in here just recently. Do we, buy a break of the trend line? I don't think so. It's tough to say where to buy this. Maybe it needs to clear this peak. We've got a band of resistance up in here. I would hope that it's a day or two early, that it rallies up, pulls back, creates a higher low, and then gets going. But keep an eye on it. We'll see what happens. Last stock is my least favorite, but it's still a good looking chart. It's my least favorite because it's an energy name. WTI is the symbol for W&T offshore. Weekly chart looks great. We've discussed this one several times. The daily time frame, we've got just a nice break of resistance over here. That resistance tested, held a support, a rising 20 and 50-day moving average. We've got a pretty decent looking consolidation in here. As this stock is consolidating and building a little flag, the volume is tapering off the way it's supposed to in a textbook. When we look at a 30-minute time frame, but let's look at a 65-minute because that way we can see that we are holding above the volume weighted average price off of this peak. So that's clear. Now that we've made that clear, we can go to a 30-minute time frame. We spoke about this before, and I was talking about the possibility of an inverted head and shoulders pattern. Let's just get rid of all those VWAPs because now here's what's relevant. This recent movement, that's what's relevant. This recent peak is relevant. In order for the buyers to regain control, I think that it probably needs to get above 835. If I was to get involved in there, I think that you need to put your stop initially at 779, and then maybe ideally you could raise it up to about $8 per share.